In this video, I'm just going to give some thoughts I've had over the past couple weeks on the final rally point. What's its real purpose, what should be done there, and that type of stuff. Now, remember, when you're mobilizing for combat. You're not bringing along the family members in this one. It's not the evacuation. The headquarters element will head straight to that final rally point. They'll have, probably one rally point in between, but they're heading straight to that final rally point to get ready. Now, you should have a small security element that's already tagged to go with the headquarters element, say a squad or so. When they get there, they should hopefully have some pre-prepared fighting positions already set up. All you're doing is you're coming in, you're clearing away leaves, clearing away branches and that stuff. You're getting into position. And then they start pulling security, waiting for everyone to show up. The headquarters element, they get in, they set out a jump talk, just a quick, nasty version of the talk. They're getting in there. They put up maybe a camo net or maybe a tarp, string it up between some trees or whatever. They get their radios set up quick, and they're monitoring the radio nets. They're monitoring how the mobilization is going. They're keeping track in probably a notebook of what's the status of each element that's coming in, and they're tracking stuff on their paper maps. They're not putting up map boards, they're not putting up report boards like you might in an actual talk. Everything is designed to be grabbed quickly, shoved in your pockets, shoved in your bags, and you're moving out. Security must be maintained always. You're probably not going to have a security rotation going on while everyone's coming in. The people that show up for security, they're on duty until relieved, and that could be 6 hours, it could be 10 hours. They're in their positions and they're waiting. For food that they'll be eating, it's going to be what they brought with them. It's going to be field rations, stuff they can pull out of their bags. Little to no preparation required, eating it, hiding the trash. Now, once everyone shows up, you need to consolidate and reorganize, because there's going to be some members that aren't going to show up. It could be they decided not to come. It could be they were arrested, they were injured, they were killed. Whatever reason. So you're going to want to consolidate. You're going to want to reorganize. Hopefully you can reorganize within each platoon itself without having to draw members from other platoons, moving them to a completely different location, a completely different group than they're used to. So if you get a situation of you have 3 squads in the platoon. 2 of the squads, they have at least 75% of the squads showed up. 1 of the squads, it's only 25%. You're going to want to move people around to make it even with each squad, or you're going to want to take that one squad that's so small, if none of the leadership showed up for that squad, just break that squad up and use it to fill in the numbers on the other 2. It'll depend on leadership, who showed up for. Now, if you end up with a situation where you have one platoon, you have the leadership that showed up, maybe a squad's worth of people total for that platoon showed up, but you have all the squad leaders, you have all the team leaders, you have the platoon leader, then maybe take some of the troops from the other platoons and send them over there to flush out the squads. You want to try to even things out across the unit, at least for the beginning there. Now, while all that stuff is going on, you need to stay ready to move out quickly. It could be you have LPOPs set up and they see that there is platoons of troops moving in from farther out. You get a warning from your intel people, which are set up farther away. They're set up at intersections, they're set up at truck stops, whatever. They see those troops move in your direction, they hear talk about it. They send you the info letting you know that the enemy's on the way in. Well, you need to pack everything up and get the hell out of there as fast as possible. Now, I mentioned about opening up some caches with spare gear and passing it out to people that are short. Whatever cache you open up during this, at this final rally point, you really should empty out and bring the stuff with you. Because it's very likely that if any caches are going to be found, it's going to be the ones that were opened at that rally point. Those would be the ones that, you know, you don't want it to be a thing where you opened it up for like one case of MREs and you left 12 other cases in there, and you sealed the, or you thought you hid the cache well, the enemy shows up, they find that cache and you just lost all those MREs. You know, empty out that cache and then reconceal it. Hopefully it does not get found. If it does get found, all they found was an empty barrel, an empty set of PVC pipes, an empty bunker, whatever it is you have set up for your caches. You want them to capture the least amount of stuff as possible, so you're not going to go in there and open up every cache. Have the stuff kind of consolidated so you only open up the bare minimums that you need to. The easiest ones to find when the enemy would show up there would be the ones that you opened. You may think you re-camouflaged them as good as they were before, but you know, there may be that one thing out of place that the enemy will find, and then they'll find that cache. So you open up only the ones you need to. It could be a situation where in one particular location, let's say you have 6 caches, 2 of them are gear, and then 4 of them are food, medical supplies, ammunition. Well, you opened up one of those supply caches, you opened up both of the gear caches. So you still have 3 supply caches that had not been opened. When the enemy comes in, you know, they come through, they find the gear caches because of the footprints on the ground. You camouflaged them, but they're able to figure out that, hey, this doesn't look right. There's footprints all over the area, but in this particular spot right here, in the middle of it, there's nothing. It looks like no one walked through here. Well, why is that? And they check that spot and they find, you know, your hidden shipping container or barrels, whatever it is. And then they, by looking the same way for those same little indicators, the broken branches, disturbed vegetation, the footprints on the ground, they find that open supplied cache. And you may have left only a little bit of stuff behind because you couldn't carry anymore. Well, you've only lost those 3 caches that were opened, and hopefully they didn't notice that there's 3 more still hidden out there that you didn't touch, you didn't go near. Now, at this final rally point I mentioned, stay no more than 24 hours. So stay only a short time, the shortest time possible. Once everyone shows up and the light levels are right and all that, you move out. Okay? I'd say show up during the daytime where you can see the people coming in, and then as soon as night falls, you're moving out. You're going into your operational area. Something that I mentioned during wargaming on this months and months and months ago, where I could see, at least for our unit, we would have, you know, that little rally point where the unit gets together. Once everyone's there, we move into another location, and then we're at that location for 2 weeks or a month, training the members that aren't up to speed, that aren't where they need to be when we would begin combat operations. So it could be a situation like that. You're not going to stay at that final rally point during mobilization. You're going to move on. So that's just what I could think up to try to explain that rally point a little better. The people show up, occupy pre-prepared fighting positions or areas that were already set aside for fighting positions. Let's say you had some piles of logs that were out there from down trees, and you kind of set it up a little bit where people can hide inside that pile of logs to do observation, and they could use it as a fighting position, a little mini bunker. You know, they get in, they occupy those things. Another thing could be deer hunting stands or other type of hunting stands. There are types that are out there that people make and leave out there permanently. You know, it could be they brought some 2x4, some 3/4 inch plywood, some old furniture and that stuff. They built their stand up in a tree and stuff, and each hunting season they go up there, they drag up their cooler and that stuff and sit out on those chairs, wait for the occasional deer that may come by. That stand is there year round. Well, maybe you'll incorporate that as one of your LPOPs. I wouldn't use it as a fighting position, you know, maybe for a sniper for single shot long range, but I would maybe use that for an LPOP if it's camouflaged enough. But the people get in, they occupy those pre-prepared positions or pre-selected positions. They do not set up any tentage. They do not start digging any other positions. They don't set up for field chow or anything like that. You're just showing up. You're getting the head counts, making sure everyone shows up. People don't make it there within the set time limit. You finish up the reorganization quick and you move on. So, and as the talk would get reports about people that were captured at rally points or arrested and that stuff, they notify that person's leadership that, hey, this person's probably not going to make it. They were captured over here. This group's not going to make it because they got gunned down at this rally point. You notify their platoon leadership that, hey, they're not coming in. Cross them off your manning roster and start planning accordingly. So, now for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and Militia movements, always remember, Essayons.